I'm going to talk about how the government of Montenegro is using online tools to try to engage citizens in the policy-making process. So, actually, my presentation is going to be slightly different from what you are used to hearing throughout these days. So, to start with, I'll try not to bore you to death with my 15-minute presentation. I'd like to say a few words about this website that the Montenegrin government launched in September 2012, last September. It's about e-petitions website we call the Citizen's Voice. So the Citizen's Voice is basically a website that enables every adult citizen of Montenegro or a permanent resident to file electronic petitions to the government within any area, within any topic within the government's remit. So anything the government is responsible for, Montenegrin citizens can file a petition. Right. So it's about adult citizens and permanent residents. They file a petition through this simple online platform, and if their petition wins the support of at least 6,000 people within 16 days, the ministry responsible, the ministry in charge for that particular area, will submit a formal proposal to the government. So their petition gets debated in the government at the cabinet session. The cool thing about this initiative is that basically it is a kind of public service that allows citizens to set the agenda, not just to participate in the already made proposal. So normally e-participation or public participation tool would work like this. The government puts forward a proposal. This is how we feel that things should be done, and then invites the public to kind of polish that what's already on the table, to give some comments, suggestions, but the basic proposal is already on the table. And this works the other way around. The public is the ones who first identifies a public issue, a problem, and then proposes a way to deal with that problem. So let me walk you through how the website actually works. Before filing a new petition, we advise people to go through the existing petitions. At this moment, that's pretty easy because we have only 3 active petitions. If not, they can file another one. So this is this simple form. They have to type the name of the petition within 150 characters. Then they have 1,000 characters to write the text of the petition and to indicate the ministry they think is responsible for that particular area. If they make a mistake, no worries, the administrators of this website will direct it to the right ministry. Then the next step is to type in their personal data, first name, last name, and we have this in Montenegro. I think you have it also in Macedonia. This would translate like unique citizen's number or personal identification number or something like that. And then the ID number. I'm not sure if you can read it from the slide. And to tick the box with the approval or the agreement with the terms of use and the use of personal data, and then click on Create Petition. The information gets checked against the public records. So if you typed in your name correctly and your personal identification number, ID card number, and the rest of it, then you get a confirmation that the petition is created successfully. Next, when the petition is submitted, then comes the validation process. The ministry in charge of that particular area has 10 working days to decide whether the petition meets certain criteria. I'll tell about those criteria in a minute. Then, if it does, it makes it open for signing. So it allows to be visible on the website, and people can sign it. And that's when this deadline, this period of 60 days starts to run. And if within those 60 days the petition wins the support of 6,000 citizens, the relevant ministry is required to transform it into a formal initiative and a formal proposal to the government to be considered by the government. Voting for the petition is even easier. You also have a simple one-page form. You put your personal information. Why putting personal information? Because we wanted to make sure that people are using their real names, so that there are real persons, real people behind these signatures. Because in absolute terms, the threshold may be high for Montenegro, 6,000 people, but in absolute terms, in absolute figures, it's not a huge amount of people. And next, we come to the term of use. We wanted to set some minimum boundaries that so we don't include hate speech, we don't include any other form of abuse, rude language, or anything like that. So the rules would boil down to this: the petition must not contain some classified information, some military secrets, or things like that. It mustn't be insulting. It mustn't be humorous or meaningless, and topics have to be within the government's remit. So if someone was to submit a petition that is within the remit of the judiciary, that's something the court has to deal with, we would have to reject that petition. And the issues that refer to honors or appointments. So you can't ask for someone to be made the prime minister, or for someone to lose their job. Otherwise, we would be getting a lot of this, believe me. So one person, there is also another limitation. One person can file no more than 3 petitions per week, which is, I think, a lot. So the use of personal data has been a big issue when we launched this. People ask, what are you doing with data? Are there any instruments in place to prevent abuse and to make sure that my personal information is used properly? So these are the rules on how to use data. So we can say that we have triple or threefold protection. First, the data are used in accordance with the law, and they are strictly kept in an encrypted form. So not even administrators of this website know who are the persons behind. And the only piece of personal data that's visible to everyone and visible on the website is the information about the actual petitioner. So the person who submitted the petition. You can see his or her full name, and that's it. And you can't see the persons behind, the persons who signed the petition. And neither the administrators can. And next is the authorization. We had to apply to the Personal Data Protection Agency to screen the process and to give a special approval for us to process those data. And finally, personal consent. I think most importantly, whoever uses this platform has to give a personal consent by ticking the terms of use and terms of use box. So the personal data are used strictly for the purposes of processing each petition and for the statistical purposes. I think an important thing about this initiative is that it's not a done deal. It's not a ready-made product that we produced in government and gave to citizens to use. The concept is quite the opposite. So we are open to any suggestions from the civil society and from the citizens on how to improve this platform and how to make it how to basically make it a better public service. And we already had quite a number of suggestions on how to do that. So we have, I think, in a month's time, we have to produce some sort of recommendations to kind of put in one place all those recommendations from the civil society and from the persons using this platform on how to improve it further. So I can tell you briefly about some of the most popular proposals. The first would be to dramatically reduce the threshold. So currently we have this threshold of 6,000 signatures. So the petition gets discussed or debated in the government if it gets 6,000 signatures, which may be a lot for a small country like Montenegro, and there are different ideas on how to use this. So to begin with, we did not just we did not choose a figure like any other figure of 6,000 because we liked that particular figure. Is that the 6,000 figure was chosen by analogy from the Constitution, because our Constitution says that if 6,000 people sign a traditional paper petition, it gets discussed in the Parliament. So we, by analogy, decided to use the same figure for online, for this online tool. And then people said, you have internet penetration of some 50%, so why don't you use half of this threshold, which makes perfect sense. So there will probably be some kind of reduction of this figure. Well, I think that the use of this particular platform has pointed out to some obvious benefits. So if you introduce this kind of policy-making tool, which is what it basically is, it makes the government more open and more accessible to citizens. It promotes dialogue and cooperation, and it kind of engages different social stakeholders behind not only identifying problems and putting forward criticism, but also behind finding a solution to concrete problems. So I think in a way it kind of relieves this kind of social tension. So people don't have to go to the street to make a point. They can use a government-sponsored platform to do that. This is the address, and this is what the website currently looks like. As you can see, at this moment we have 3 active petitions, and 1 petition is voted out. So the first successful petition that the government did consider was the one about calling for the construction of new kindergartens in Montenegro, and it easily won the support of some 6,500, I think, signatures, and as a result, the government did consider that proposal, and it instructed the Ministry of Education to negotiate a $10 million World Bank loan, and starting from next year, some 6 new kindergartens will be built in Montenegro. So this is not something that exists only on paper. It has produced real, tangible results. Thank you. If you have any questions, then yes. Over here.
Hola. Da me puštate? Da. Would you like me to talk in English or?
Which I understand Macedonian.
Ja isto malo crnogorski. Oprostite mi ako se kažem s padežima. To je generalna falinka kad Makedonci probaju da pričaju crnogorski. Hoću да ви питам за тај цензус од 6000 подписа, кои као морају да биду сакупljeni за да се нека петиција размутри, да ја мислим да е бројка превелика. Јер кад е интернет у питању, кој е поента, нели, е петиција, ондак не може то да се ради на начин како што се уставом захтева кад е у питању нека регуларна ортодоксна петиција. И драго ми е да влада Црне Горе размишља за смалење на тај потребни број подписи. Колики е број, прво питање, колики е според вас, ето, реални број подписника и интернет петиција kad znate da koliko Crnogoraca koriste Facebook, internet i od onih koji koriste koliko punoletni građani koriste internet aktivno. To mi je prvo pitanje. Drugo pitanje mi je oko vrtiće, ta peticija koja je uspela. Čitao sam da su ljudi sakupljali potpise ne samo na internetu, nego da bila je neka priča da su oni to radili na ulice i da li ta peticija ima legitimitet spored vas. Super je da je to prošlo i da se izborio taj kredit, ali kakav je vaš stav? Mislim, može i lični, ako ne možete da pričate sad u imenu vlade Crne Gore. I treto nije pitanje, već je pozdrav sasvim slučajno. Brodonačelnik Luke Berane mi je moj prijatelj, pa hoću da vas pozdravim u njegovom imenu. Hvala.
Hvala. Pozdrav za brodonačelnika. Da počnemo od prvog pitanja. Dakle, prvo pitanje se odnosilo na to da li mislimo da je veliki broj... Znate kako, to je često pokretano u crnogorskoj javnosti, da je taj broj od 6000 prevelik zato što je penetracija interneta mnogo manja i upravo je vlada i dala za pravo građanima da predlože neko rešenje. Znači, to je cifra od koje smo morali smo od nečeg da počnemo. Znači, uzeli smo cifru po analogiji sa ustavnom kategorijom zbog toga što taj iznos, odnosno taj brojka daje izrazit legitimitet tim peticijama. Znači, da bi nešto se smatralo građanskim aktivizmom, da bi imalo određenu težinu, potrebno je da se stvori jedna kritična masa koja će to da podrži. I u Crnoj Gori smo počeli od tih 6000. Sad je zahtjev za smanjenje nešto iza čega stoje, maltene imamo društveni konsenzus oko toga da je to potrebno smanjiti. I sasvim je logično, evo da kažem u moje ime, meni izgleda logično da se izađe u susret tom zahtjevu. Tako da mislim da taj dio neće biti sporan. Problem je samo da ta cifra ne bude arbitrarna, da ne bude napamet izabrana. Znači ona mora da se veže za nešto konkretno. Zbog čega 3000, zbog čega 1500. Imamo zahtjeve, pomenuli ste brodonačelnika, on je kandidovao peticiju kojom traži da se smanji prag za potpisivanje peticija na 500. A njegova peticija, ta peticija dobila je manje od 500 glasova. Znači, mislim da čak nije suština ovog alata, kolika će cifra da bude, nego da se probudi taj građanski aktivizam. Jer 6000 u nekim apsolutnim iznosima, složit ćete se, nije mnogo za nešto što se tiče svih građana jedne države. Znači, čak i da je, evo, hipotetički da govorimo, čak i da je upola manji taj prag, i dalje bi mi imali samo jednu peticiju koja je ispunila uslove. Znači, nijedna druga peticija nije se ni približila pragu od 3000, kad bi to bio prag. Čak ne bi bila izglasana ni da je prag bio 2000. Znači da to nije suština izazova, da kažem. Znači da je suština leži u građanskom aktivizmu, u možda širenju svijesti o tome da građani, da je upravo ovom peticijom, odnosno ovim alatom građanima data mogućnost da kreiraju vladinu politiku. Mislim da to još uvijek nisu ni organizacije civilnog društva potpuno svjesne snage tog alata i da ga ne koriste dovoljno. Razgovarao sam sa kolegama iz drugih zemalja koji imaju slične ili razmišljaju da uvedu slične alate. I svugdje se ponavlja taj, da kažem, problem da običan građanin nema tu snagu da sam podnese peticiju i da ona onako goes viral, da se pokupi po internetu spontano zajednica, nego uvijek iza uspješnih peticija stoji ozbiljna organizacija. Mislim da naše organizacije civilnog društva još nisu pronašle taj neki interes ili identifikovali da ovaj alat može da im pomogne da neki društveni problem reše. Podsjetite me, drugo pitanje je bilo o... Da, tačno je, znam da je kampanja vođena i van internetske sfere, znači dobar dio tih potpisa je skupljen na ulici. Međutim, ti potpisi su dati uz pristanak i oni su unešeni kroz kroz ovaj naš sistem. Sad bi to bila bi to procedura dokazivati da li je unešeno u prisustvu, ne znam, tog potpisnika i tako dalje. Inače, moje lično mišljenje je da ne postoji kod nas dovoljna kultura o potrebi zaštite ličnih podataka. Mislim da bi ljudi pažljivije trebali da daju svoje podatke, odnosno da ih ne daju za svaku potrebu. Jer postoji opasnost da, evo, upravo i jedna od naše zabrinutosti, kad smanjimo taj prag, je da možda svi ti potpisi koji su nekad skupljani na ulici drugim povodom mogu da počnu da kruže i da ih unose ljudi i zloupotrebljavaju na taj način tuđe podatke. I onda bi se platforma koja je namijenjena da ohrabri javnu participaciju pretvorila u dokazivanje krivične odgovornosti. A to je zadnje što bi htjeli da postignemo s ovim. Izvolite.
I'll ask in English.
Perfect.
Can you give us more statistics? How many petitions did you had so far? What are the average voters per petition? And can you name us some of the topics of a petition, like the subjects for people are voting for?
Well, I don't have the exact statistics with me, but I can give something from the top of my head. We had some, I think, 15 successful petitions. I mean, that passed this requirements check. So the petitions that got to get voted, and only one was voted out. And the average, well, it ranges between. The next most successful petition was the one asking for the establishment of the animal police, or the police for animals, some kind of a public administration body that would punish cruelty to animals. So it got some 1,500 votes, I think, and that was the second most successful. Apart from that, you had as few as 3 or 4 votes in 60 days, or somewhere in between.
I have a question as well. You said that when the petition is presented on the website, did the government later on looks at the petition and the relevant ministry proposes a certain policy, I'm guessing. So the question is the petition, the text of the petition, the thing that you're looking at the government sessions, or is the relevant ministry the one that is proposing a certain policy study for this issue? And is there a deadline in which the relevant ministry needs to put this in a government session? Because you mentioned there is a 60 days period in which the petition needs to be signed, but then you didn't mention if there is a deadline in which, after the end of the petition, the relevant ministry needs to propose this to the government.
Yeah, yes, that's true. And so this is the slide. So the petitioner names the petition, describes it, and then chooses the relevant ministry, which the petitioner feels is responsible for that particular area. But even if that person is wrong, the administrators redirect the petition to the right ministry. And then, once the right ministry has been internally identified, it has 10 working days to check if this petition meets those requirements. If it does, then the 60 days deadline starts to run. And after a petition has been successful, then you have 20 working days to translate it into to turn it into a formal proposal that goes to the government. So the petition doesn't get discussed by the government in this form. It is translated into some formal proposal on how to achieve what is asked by the petitioner.
But do you think that 20 days is enough to propose a policy to the government, because you need to assess all the criteria and then maybe put the formal proposal study or any kind of policy document?
Good point.
What are the basis on which the government
Good point. That's only the first step. we didn't want to leave too big a deadline, because it would get dragged get dragged for days and days. But what we wanted is to give this first deadline a short one, to make it a short one, only 20 working days, because this could only be potentially only an initial step to inform the government and to prepare some kind of assessment and recommendations what steps need to be taken. So the government then instructs relevant ministry to do this and that. So this is just an analysis, the first step, and then the government says this ministry should do this, the other ministry should do that. Thank you.